The first sound is S. The second sound is Z. And the third sound is IS. So let's review some words together and be really careful. What sound do you hear? Cats. Cats. What can you hear? S. Can you repeat after me? Cats. Cats. The second word is schools. Schools. What sound can you hear? Of course, Z. Repeat after me. Schools. Schools. The third word is teams. What sound can you hear? Again, Z. Repeat after me. Teams. Teams. Then we have ladies. Ladies. Z. Repeat after me. Ladies. Ladies. Then monkeys. Z. Again. Repeat after me. Monkeys. Monkeys. Then we have tomatoes. Again, it's the Z sound. Tomatoes. Tomatoes. And finally, pianos. Z. Pianos. Pianos. Let's now talk about nouns that end in S, SH, X, CH, or Z. Now, to make the plural form of these nouns, you will add ES, and the sound will be IS. Let's review some words together. Bus becomes buses. Bush, bushes. Fox, foxes. Beach, beaches. Quiz, quizzes. Can you repeat after me? Buses. Buses. Bushes. Bushes. Foxes. Foxes. Beaches. Beaches. Quizzes. Quizzes. To nouns ending in F or FE. For example, roof becomes roofs. Safe, safes. So you simply add an S. Then we have leaf that becomes leaves. Wait a minute, what happened? Well, yeah, sometimes in English, a word ending in F becomes a word ending in VES in plural. That's not a rule, but some words end in VES, you just have to learn them, I'm afraid. Another word, wife, and again, VES, wives. Shelf, shelves, again, this VES ending. Now let's focus on pronunciation. Roofs. So it's an S sound. Can you repeat after me? Roofs. Roofs. Good job. Safes. Safes. Have you heard the S sound? Safes. Then we have leaves. And this time it's a Z sound. Repeat after me. Leaves. Leaves. Great. Moving on. Wives. Wives. And finally, shelves. Shelves. Okay, so you just add an S. Now, lady becomes ladies. Monkey becomes monkeys. But two different rules. As you can see, lady is consonant Y. Now, when you have consonant Y in an English word, the plural will be I-E-S. Lady, ladies. But when you have vowel Y, like monkey, it just becomes monkeys. You simply add an S. Okay, monkey becomes monkeys. Tomato becomes tomatoes. Piano, pianos. Again, two different rules. Now, tomato becomes tomatoes. You add ES. And with most words ending in O, so consonant O, you will add ES. But sometimes you will only add S, like piano, pianos. There is no particular rule for this. You just need to know the words that only end with an S. Now, if we focus on pronunciation now, repeat the words after me. Babies. The sound is Z. Babies. Toys. Toys. Wishes. Remember this is sound? Repeat after me. Wishes. Taxis. Taxis. Choices. Choices. Wolves. Wolves. And finally, photos. Photos. First, I want a dog. I like dogs. Repeat after me, guys. I want a dog. I like dogs. The second sentence, I don't want a fox. I don't like foxes. After me, guys. I don't want a fox. I don't like foxes. Great. Moving on to the third sentence. I bought a watch. I have many watches. Repeat after me. I bought a watch. I have many watches. Good job. Sentence 4 now. I have a new stereo. Now I have 2 stereos. After me. I have a new stereo. Now I have 2 stereos. Excellent! And finally, there's a knife. There are 6 knives in the kitchen. Repeat after me. There's a knife. There are 6 knives in the kitchen. So when we want to make compound nouns plural, there are rules to follow. If you have a single word, you simply add an S. But if you have separate words, whether hyphenated or not, you will make the most significant word plural. Let's take a look at examples. Newspaper will simply be newspapers. So I have many newspapers. Swimming pool. Now, what's the most significant word? Well, it is pool. So we will say there are 2 swimming pools. You cannot say there are 2 swimmings pools. No S, it's swimming. brother-in-law, what's the most significant word? Well, of course, it is brother. So you will say, I have 2 brothers-in-law. And finally, woman doctor. Now, what's the most significant word? Actually, both words are significant. So we will both make them plural. Remember, the plural form of woman is women. So we will say 4 women doctors work at the hospital. Let's work on pronunciation. Can you repeat after me, please? I have many newspapers. I have many newspapers. There are 2 swimming pools. There are 2 swimming pools. I have 2 brothers-in-law. I have 2 brothers-in-law. And finally, 4 women doctors work at the hospital. 4 women doctors work at the hospital. Good job, guys. Now let's move on to practice. To practice, I have a few sentences and I want you to tell me if we are using compound nouns or not. Let's take a look. I want to drink some cold water. Is cold water a compound noun? What do you think? It isn't. Cold is a simple adjective describing the water. She has a new boyfriend. Is boyfriend a compound noun? Well, it isn't in this case. He's your friend and he's a boy. But the compound noun boyfriend in one word exists and has a different meaning. Then your boyfriend is more than a friend. He's the boy you're having a relationship with. Other example. The bluebird was singing in the tree. Is bluebird a compound noun? Not in this case. It's a simple bird and it's blue. But the compound noun bluebird in one word exists. It's a specific bird. Let's meet at the bus stop. Is bus stop a compound noun? What do you think? It is. And finally, I have 2 alarms clock. What about alarms clock? Well, it is a compound noun, but there is a big mistake. Can you see it? Of course, the plural form. The plural form is not alarms clock, but alarm clocks, because the most significant word is clock. Let's take a closer look at rules with countable nouns and uncountable nouns. So how do we know if a word is countable or uncountable? Well, there are a few tricks that can help. Let's look at these words. Some groups of words are very often uncountable, and this can help you. For example, liquids. Water, juice, milk, beer. All those words are uncountable. Powders. Sugar, flour, salt, rice. Uncountable words as well. Materials such as wood, plastic, metal or paper. Food as well, like fruit, meat, cheese and bread. And finally, abstract ideas like time, information, love and beauty. Another trick is that most of the time you can measure uncountable nouns. Let's look at examples. For example, if we take liquids, I have 2 liters of milk. Now, you cannot count milk, but you can measure milk and you can count liters. So you can say, I have 2 liters of milk. You can say, I have a glass of water, or I have glasses of water, cups of coffee, bottles of water. So you can measure this uncountable noun. Same goes with powders. I have 1 kilogram of sugar, 2 kilograms of sugar. With materials and foods, we often use the word piece. For example, I ate 2 pieces of cake, or bread, or pizza, or meat or cheese. I need pieces of paper, wood, plastic, metal. Or I have some water. Some is an article that always works with uncountable nouns. Okay guys, I hope you understand. Let's move on. Some words can be both countable and uncountable nouns. Now, not all of them, but some of them. Let's take a look. I would like to eat some cake. I would like 2 pieces of cake. So in these 2 sentences, cake is obviously an uncountable noun. But if I say I would like to eat 2 cakes, suddenly it becomes a countable noun. Why? Because in the first 2 sentences, we are talking about pieces of 1 cake. In the last sentence, we are considering the whole cake, so it becomes countable. Another example, I would like to eat some chicken. I would like to eat a piece of chicken. Both sentences, uncountable noun, chicken. But the last sentence, I see 2 chickens. Chicken in this case is a countable noun. Why? Because in the first 2 sentences, chicken is food. But in the last sentence, chicken is an animal. So the animal is a countable noun. Chicken is food is uncountable. Hope you get it. I put 100 candles on 6 cakes. Please repeat after me. I put 100 candles on 6 cakes. I put 100 candles on 6 cakes. Good job. Second example. I ate 2 pieces of cake. Repeat after me. I ate 2 pieces of cake. I ate 2 pieces of cake. Next sentence. I saw some trash on all the streets. Repeat after me. I saw some trash on all the streets. I saw some trash on all the streets. Very good. Next one. I need to buy some milk and some butter from the market. Please repeat after me. I need to buy some milk and some butter from the market. I need to buy some milk and some butter from the market. And finally, traffic and pollution are problems in many cities. Repeat after me. Traffic and pollution are problems in many cities. Traffic and pollution are problems in many cities. Adjectives ending in ed describe a person's feeling. For example, bored. I am bored. Adjectives ending in ing describe a situation or an event. For example, boring. Let's take a sentence. This film is boring. Okay, that's the event. It's boring. And because the film is boring, I am bored. That's my feeling. I hope you get it. Let's get a few more common examples. For example, annoyed and annoying. He is annoyed. That's a feeling. The noise is annoying. You're now describing the noise. Other example, confused, confusing. The student was confused. The English was confusing. Depressed, depressing. My mom was depressed. She watched a depressing TV drama. Excited, exciting. I'm excited. Traveling is exciting. Frustrated, frustrating. My dog is frustrated. Staying home all day is frustrating. Frightened, frightening. My little sister is frightened of the dark. A dark room is frightening. Satisfied, satisfying. My dad is satisfied. He has a satisfying job. Shocked, shocking. We were shocked by the accident. It was a shocking accident. Interested, interesting. I'm interested in articles. I'm reading an interesting article. Last example, 2 sentences, 2 different meanings. Look at these. The teacher was bored. The teacher was boring. Now, you really have to understand the difference between those two because the meaning is not the same at all. When you say the teacher was bored, you are describing the teacher's feeling. Okay, that's how the teacher felt at that time he or she was bored. But when you say the teacher was boring, you are describing the teacher. Okay, the teacher made the students feel bored because he or she was boring. Okay, so remember, ed is for feelings and ing is to describe events, things, situations. Wow, I am excited or exciting about my new car. Now, what's the correct answer? What do you think? Now remember, ed to talk about feelings, ing to describe things. In this case, are you talking about your feelings or are you describing your new car? Of course, you are talking about your feelings. So, wow, I'm excited about my new car. Second example, try not to get bored or boring when you study English. Now, what do you think? Are you talking about feelings or are you describing things? Of course, again, we're talking about feelings in this sentence. Try not to get bored when you study English. Then math is confused or confusing to me. Do you know the answer? You are describing math to you. It is confusing to you, so math is confusing to me. It was a thrilled or thrilling roller coaster ride. Now in this case, if you think for a minute, can a roller coaster ride feel anything? No, it can't. So it's obviously a description. It was a thrilling roller coaster ride. And finally, my mother is disappointed or disappointing in my English school. Of course, you are talking about your mother's feeling. She is disappointed in your English school. Wow, I am excited about my new car. Wow, I'm excited about my new car. Good. Try not to get bored when you study English. Try not to get bored when you study English. Good, guys. Third sentence. Math is confusing to me. Math is confusing to me. Very good. It was a thrilling roller coaster ride. It was a thrilling roller coaster ride. Very nice. And finally, my mother is disappointed in my English score. One last time. My mother is disappointed in my English score. All these adjectives are placed before the noun. Let's learn more about adjectives. Adjectives can be found before the noun, it's called the attribute position, or after the noun, which is called the predicative position, and is just as common. Adjectives which are found after a verb describe the subject of this verb, usually a noun or a pronoun. So if we take the sentence, the girl is nice, the adjective nice refers to the subject of the sentence, the girl, but it is placed after the verb to be. My students are happy, same thing. The adjective happy describes the subject of the sentence, my students, but it is placed after the verb. Now in the first three sentences, it's the attribute position. Remember, the adjective comes before the noun. And in the last three sentences, it's the predicative position. Remember, the adjective comes after the noun, and in this case, after the verb to be. First, we have the prefix un, un. For example, if we take the word fair and we want to make it negative, we can add un to have the word unfair, which is the opposite of fair. Same goes for happy, unhappy. Sure becomes unsure. Another prefix is in, to make the adjective negative again. For example, active, inactive, appropriate, inappropriate, complete, incomplete. The prefix ir now, ir. For example, responsible, irresponsible, regular, irregular, rational, irrational. Then we have the prefix im, for example, balance, imbalance, polite, impolite, possible, impossible. And finally, the prefix il, like legal, illegal, literate, illiterate, logical, illogical. We can find a suffix able, like adorable, comfortable. Also the suffix en, like broken, golden. Ease, like Chinese, Japanese. Full, like wonderful, powerful. Talkative, like informative, talkative. Us, dangerous, enormous. Or some, like awesome, handsome. Repeat after me, please. I have an uncomfortable seat. I have an uncomfortable seat. Good job. Second sentence. She has a black car. She has a black car. Good. Keep repeating. His father was unhelpful. His father was unhelpful. The actor is handsome. The actor is handsome. Good. Moving on. I hate oily food. I hate oily food. And finally, she is a dishonest woman. She is a dishonest woman. Excellent, guys. Remember my cup from the first video? Well, we could say it's a great, big, old, round, white, Korean plastic cup. So a great, giving my opinion, big, the size, old, the age, round for the shape, white for the color, Korean for the origins, plastic for the material. That's the adjective order. I cannot break it. I have to follow it. For example, these beautiful young girls went to school. First, how many adjectives do you see in that sentence? I see 2 adjectives, beautiful and young. The order is beautiful, your opinion, and then young for age. Second example, I have dirty old running shoes. How many adjectives can you see? There are 3. Dirty, your opinion, old, the age, and running, which is a purpose adjective. Then we have, that's a hot green Korean pepper. How many adjectives? There are 3 adjectives. Hot, your opinion, green, the color, Korean, the origins. And finally, Canada is a nice large country. 2 adjectives, nice for your opinion and large for the size. Please repeat after me. These beautiful young girls went to school. These beautiful young girls went to school. I have dirty old running shoes. I have dirty old running shoes. Good. That's a hot green Korean pepper. That's a hot green Korean pepper. Very nice. And finally, Canada is a nice large country. Canada is a nice large country. She is a tall British woman. Now, how many adjectives can you see in this sentence? I see 2 adjectives. And is the order correct? Tall is the size, British, the origins. So it is correct, yes, size comes before origins. She is a tall British woman. I have a red big ball. How many adjectives? 2. And is the order correct? Red is the colour and big is the size. Well, no, it isn't. It should be I have a big red ball. Size comes before colour. I got a gold new watch. Again, I suppose you know, 2 adjectives. Gold for the material and new for the age. And age comes before material, so it should be I got a new gold watch. My mother has red long hair. We have 2 adjectives. Red for the colour and long for the size. And size comes before colour, so it should be my mother has long red hair. And finally, this is a cute little white puppy. 3 adjectives. Is the order correct? What do you think? Well, it is correct. We have cute for your opinion, little for the size, white for the colour, and the order is correct. This is a cute little white puppy. Let's start with intensifiers, and I have a list of intensifiers for you. Of course, these are not all of them, but it's a good start because they're very common in English. Let's have a look. Really. This video is really interesting. The adjective in this sentence is interesting, and we make it stronger with the intensifier really. It's really interesting. Very. For example, I'm very happy to learn English. The adjective is happy, and we give it more power with the intensifier very. I am very happy to learn English. Other intensifiers include absolutely. For example, your new dress is absolutely amazing. Extremely, like it's extremely cold outside. Incredibly, for example, your son is incredibly smart. Completely. My wallet is completely empty. Unusually. The classroom was unusually quiet. And finally, enough. He isn't old enough to drive. Now, for this last sentence, the adjective is old and the intensifier is enough. It's a special case because, as you can hear and see, enough always comes after the adjective. Intensifiers are commonly used with comparative and superlative adjectives. For example, with comparative adjectives, we often use much. For example, he runs much faster than me. Faster is the comparative form of the adjective fast, and to intensify the comparison, we use the intensifier much. So he runs much faster than me. We also use a lot. For example, this red bag is a lot heavier than this white bag. Heavier is the comparative form of the adjective heavy, and we make it even more powerful with a lot heavier. And we also use far. For example, she is far taller than me. Taller is the comparative of tall. We make it more powerful with far, far taller than me. With superlative adjectives, we can use easily. For example, This is easily the best restaurant in town. Best is the superlative form of the adjective good, and we make it even more powerful by saying easily the best restaurant. And we also use by far. For example, Sarah is by far the smartest girl in class. Mitigators are the opposite of intensifiers. They weaken the adjectives. Let's look at a few examples. Mitigators include fairly. For example, it's fairly sunny today. The adjective sunny is weakened by the mitigator fairly. So it's not sunny, it's a bit less than sunny. Other mitigator, rather. So when I say I'm rather tired, I'm not exactly tired, I'm a bit less. The adjective is less powerful because of this rather. Other example, pretty. It's pretty expensive, which means it's not expensive, it's a little bit less. Or quite, like the movie was quite good. The adjective good is less powerful because of this. Because if you use quite with an extreme adjective, such as terrible, perfect, enormous, or excellent, quite means absolutely. It becomes an intensifier. For example, she is quite gorgeous. Means she is absolutely gorgeous. It's more powerful because of the intensifier quite. So be very careful when you use quite, because depending on the adjective that you choose, it has a different meaning and it can be either an intensifier or a mitigator. Mitigators can be used with comparative adjectives. Let's look at a few examples. We can use a bit. For example, he's a bit faster than me. When you say he's a bit faster than me, it's less powerful than he's faster than me. So a bit mitigates, it weakens faster. Same goes for rather. For example, this dress is rather nicer than that dress. It weakens the comparison, the nicer. And finally, we can say slightly. For example, my car is slightly older than your car. So it's just a little bit older than your car. It's weak because of this mitigator. It's a very interesting game. Now, what's the adjective in that sentence? Interesting, of course. What about very? Is it an intensifier or a mitigator? What do you think? It's an intensifier, of course. It's a very interesting game. It's more powerful thanks to this very. The second sentence, she cooks fairly good pasta. Now the adjective in this sentence is good, I'm sure you know. What about fairly? Is it an intensifier or a mitigator? It's a mitigator, guys. The adjective good is less powerful because of fairly. She cooks fairly good pasta. The third example, he's quite brilliant at speaking English. The adjective is brilliant. Now, just a hint, it's an extreme adjective. Brilliant is a very strong adjective. So what about quite? Is it an intensifier or a mitigator? It is an intensifier, of course, because the adjective is extreme. I hope you got that. Next example, she's a bit younger than I am. The adjective is actually a comparative adjective in this sentence, younger. A bit acts as a mitigator, of course. And finally, my dog is much fatter than my cat. Again, it's a comparative adjective, fatter. And what about much? What do you think? Intensifier? Mitigator? It's an intensifier. It's much fatter than my cat. It's a very interesting game. One more time. It's a very interesting game. Good. Second example. She cooks fairly good pasta. She cooks fairly good pasta. Third example, guys. He's quite brilliant at speaking English. One more time. He's quite brilliant at speaking English. Moving on. She's a bit younger than I am. She's a bit younger than I am.